How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 22nd of June 2022. Just a quick one. The windows are open, so you may hear some ambient noise in the background, some birds chirping and whatnot, which, as I've said before, isn't a bad thing. So let's get into the analysis. Obviously, we have Powell testifying today at 2:30 GMT time, and when I made the video yesterday, I put out a short update, and you could see that in that short update, this candle, the current weekly candle, was green. Current weekly candle on BNB, it was green. And I've had probably 30, maybe 40 DMs, in conversations with people, asking me, is this the turn? Is the market turning? And obviously, I'm very careful how I answer these questions, for obvious reasons. But I still want to emphasize and continue to emphasize that the market, cryptocurrency market, predominantly Bitcoin, has not turned, in any way, shape, or form. We haven't moved. It's very easy. I've said this before. When we're looking at a chart like the hourly and you see this, you think, okay, that's pretty decent movement. Just go straight back up to the weekly and force yourself to stay here. If you do that, you put yourself in a position where you're looking at the most important time frame in the series of time frames, right? The monthly chart doesn't really tell us much because it's just an aggressive move to the downside. If anything, we could say, okay, it's an extended move to the downside, but it actually looks worse on the monthly because down here is effectively where price should end up. But the weekly chart gives us enough information, enough data to keep us out of the market for now until we see a true move. Now, what do I mean by true move? I want us, when we look at the chart, to say, wow, that's a pretty big move, right? And at the moment, that's not what we're getting. We're just getting a little bit of reaction. And even if we take the previous candle into consideration, like I said yesterday, from here all the way up to the high of this week, it's almost nothing, guys. I mean, it's such a muted move, and it's certainly not one that I would feel confident putting money into. So think about it like this: go to an extreme and ask yourself the question: if you had, let's say, $500,000, would you throw it into Bitcoin right now? I know I wouldn't. There's no way that I could put $500,000 or pounds into, Bitcoin at these levels. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense because we're not seeing confirmation of anything. Now, if you're looking at it from a point of view of kind of scaling in, you're looking to, accumulate an asset that you believe is going to be around for the next 5-10 years. Fair enough, right? But I can only speak for myself. I really need to see something, on Bitcoin that gives me confidence, that we are actually turning and moving higher. At the moment, we've got this kind of drop. You can see we're starting to grind sideways a little bit. No different to what we were doing here. We dropped, then we started to go sideways, and then we dropped again, and now we're starting to go sideways. The difference in this case is that we're coming into a very strong liquidity pool, and that's why we've had that first initial response. Now, here's the most important thing. When you have responses from liquidity pools like this, it's very, very important that that response is met with some buying, a real sense of some big players coming into the market to really get Bitcoin moving. This is really not what we're seeing here. Instead, we're just seeing this drop and a very muted response. If we drop down to a 4-hour chart, we can see that, muted response again is not aggressive. It's not sensitive. It's just so be really, really careful. It's very easy when you see that explosive move. Let's say it goes and rips to 26,000 right now, right, while we're talking, and you see that big candle, you're like, wow, that's what we're looking for. But here's the thing: if you just wait a few minutes, maybe up to half an hour, that candle will do one of two things. It will either hold or it will start to recede. And if you start to see that receding movement, then you need double confirmation. That needs to not only be bought up, but it needs to take out the high of that candle as well. And then really start to go for that kind of secondary leg to the upside. There will be elements of anticipation, when we're kind of trading and we're looking to engage in the markets. And this is something that you can't eliminate completely. You're always going to find some level of anticipation. But I personally like to stay as close to confirmation as I possibly can, and then when I feel comfortable, that's when I engage. For me, just to kind of wrap up, the Bitcoin chart, I still feel that we are, very close. This is the wrong chart. Sorry, guys. I still feel that we're very, not close. Sorry. I still feel that we have the potential to either continue to bleed lower, even if it's just to take out the liquidity all the way down to around about 15,000, and then maybe that gets met with some buying, or we continue to challenge some of the liquidity down here, which, to be honest, is a real possibility. And if we expect that, and we expect the worst on Bitcoin, and we're pleasantly surprised, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So again, 2:30 this afternoon GMT time, Powell's going to be testifying. And again, tomorrow at 3 o'clock GMT time, he'll be testifying again. This could cause some volatility in the market, especially on US equities, predominantly on the NASDAQ. So just be careful, take your time. There's really no rush. And the one thing that I'll leave you with in terms of the Bitcoin chart before we go over to Binance is if you buy Bitcoin, just as an example, hypothetically, at say 32,000 and it goes to 100,000, over a period of say a year, 2 years, something like that, sort of real nice long-term, sort of investment. Does it really matter? So, or should I say, does it really matter where you get in? I'll say it like that. So in terms of Binance, again, the chart on Binance, just looking at this, we've had that first initial move down to the sort of 187. That's done now, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off the chart. And now we can see things open up a little bit on the chart with the possibility that we may very well see the 148, 150 to around about 148-ish, right? Again, a real possibility. Now you'll notice I've made a reference to this level just up here. That's at 250. My thinking was, if we were to get some movement to the upside and a little bit of continuation on, on Bitcoin from its sort of first response down here, then that was going to put, Binance a little bit closer to this 250, a little bit closer, hit 250, and then start to recede and come down, to challenge the 150 level. That is still my thinking, right? And the good thing about analyzing markets this way is there's no rush. You don't need, to engage in the markets unsafely. There's many people that I speak to that want to buy now because they think it's so cheap that they're never going to see these prices again. I'll say this, the challenge is you're always going to be, unfortunately, on one side or the other. When you look at these prices down here, yes, they're cheap, absolutely. But there's a trade-off. You either accept that price potentially could continue going lower and you could pick it up a little bit cheaper, well, in this case, quite a lot cheaper, or you take a shot and you grab it around these levels. And this is not just about Binance. This is about all assets, that are taking a bit of a sort of down move. Pick them up at these prices, and then sit through that if it happens, or if it doesn't happen, we get some movement to the upside and great. But I personally feel that if you look at it from a manipulation point of view, really ask yourself this question, do you feel that the markets have manipulated people enough to take their money? What I mean is, if you could control price and you wanted to cause maximum pain, wouldn't you run price up a little bit, get people all excited, get people to buy, and then tank it? I know it seems like a horrible thing to say, but this happens in the markets continually, over and over and over again. It's not just cryptocurrency, it's US equities, UK equities, global equities, Forex market happens a lot on the Forex market. So just bear this in mind, all right? Ethereum, again, we will, let's look at, let's do that. Let's get over here and then let's do this. So Ethereum, again, no real sense of finding buying. People don't want to be engaging with Ethereum at the moment. Miners are dropping off now as well. I think Ethereum has a few problems at the moment, and predominantly we are going to see more downside than we are upside. We may see a little bit of relief, but ultimately the longer it stays down here, the more or the higher the probability that we're going to start to drive towards that sort of 735 level, which would make perfect sense, full rebalance, hitting a level. And to be honest, I'd even say is as far down as 588, or let's just say 600. That is pretty low on Ethereum, and obviously down at these levels would be, very interesting in terms of, buyers stepping in. So we'll see what happens there. But we have a case to, that we can make with Ethereum in that it's just been weak, been very, very weak. It's showing no real signs, of finding any stability, down at these levels. So with all of that said, just be mindful of everything that I've said. Be mindful of the things that, are coming over the next couple of days in terms of Powell testifying. Be cautious, be careful, make sure that you are engaging safely, and make sure you're engaging, if you can, with confirmation as opposed to sort of anticipating that next move. All right. And more importantly, absolutely don't FOMO into anything. If it starts to run, let it settle. Let it settle. And with all of that said, guys, I really hope everyone's having a fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the world. And I'll catch up with you at some point later in the evening review. Take care. Ciao for now.